What's good, everyone? This is Justin Just Rock Ramon from the Just Right podcast, where elevation is our recreation. Super excited for you to check out our next episode as it features another inspiring guest who goes by the name Kenzie Smith. Kenzie is a Utah-based adventure enthusiast, outdoor podcaster, content creator, backpacker, vice president of responsible stewardship, and is a Highlander Adventure ambassador. In this special event edition episode, we chatted about all things related to Highlander Adventure and the upcoming Big Bear Lake Hiking and Backpacking Festival going down from June 17th to the 21st here in Southern California. We talked about how Mackenzie first discovered Highlander and became an ambassador, the 5 different epic event formats participants can choose from, what's included in each registration, Kenzie's most memorable experiences during Highlander, Montana and Big Bear Lake, the different activities and entertainment that happen throughout this multi-day event, what participants can expect on their journey to the finish line, tips for beginner and advanced backpackers, and why Highlander Adventure is for anyone no matter their hiking or backpacking skill level. If you feel inspired to join myself and Kenzie on the upcoming Big Bear Lake event after this conversation, you can use my code JustTrek_HO20 on HighlanderAdventure.com to help you save money and get you out there with us. It is valid for any Big Bear Lake format except Lyra, which is the one-day hike. And my code will only be valid for 1 more week, so act fast. In addition to this YouTube video version you are watching right now, we have audio versions available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on all the other major streaming platforms. You can find those links in the description. All right, let's get to trekking and get into this episode. What is going on, everyone? We have another incredible guest on the show today. And for this show, we are going to be spotlighting an incredible adventure this summer that I feel you and the Just Trek community will find great interest in. To bring it back to our guest, this individual is an avid trekker and backpacker based out of Utah. She is an adventure seeker, outdoor podcaster, content creator, and is a Highlander Adventure ambassador. And without further ado, I'd love to welcome Kenzie Smith to the Just Trek podcast.
Hey, Justin. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. It is so great to have you on. And what's really cool about you is that I first got familiar with you as you have interviewed one of my close friends, Jonathan Flores, the founder of Outdoor Adventures Plus. That was really awesome when I saw that because it's just nice to also chat with a fellow outdoor podcaster. There's not too many of us out there.
Yeah, I know whenever we did our intro call, we were like, we don't really have to talk about much because you know what's going on. I know what's going on. We do this all the time. So, yes.
That's the beauty of it. We're already on the same page and same wavelength. And you have a podcast mic. So we're already off to a good start.
Heck yeah.
So can't wait to learn more about you and chat about a very exciting adventure series that you're representing that I too will also be embarking on this upcoming summer in Southern California's Big Bear Lake Paradise. So I just want to jump right into it. For those people that are not familiar, what exactly is Highlander Adventure and how did you actually first discover it?
Yeah, so Highlander Adventure is a hiking or backpacking event held all over the world. So there are Highlander Adventures, I think, in over like 20 countries. So this isn't just in Big Bear Lake, California. This is all over the world. And it is a backpacking and hiking event, kind of like a festival. There are programs every night that you can be a part of if you want. There are checkpoints. There are places where everyone camps every night. And so it's really just an awesome way, one, to challenge yourself, to meet people in the outdoor community if that's something that you don't have, and 3, just honestly like get out and get to experience new beautiful places. And so it's really hard to explain because, you know, I want to say it's like a marathon, kind of that vibe and overall setting, but, you know, it's not a race. And so there really is no benefit to going any faster. Now there is a finish line. Like I said, there are checkpoints, but you become a Highlander, you know, they give you the token of being a Highlander if you finish the event that you signed up for. And so, like I said, it's not a race. It's just an awesome way to get outdoors, meet like-minded community, and learn, especially if hiking and backpacking is not something that you are familiar with or that you have a lot of experience with. It's also a super amazing place to learn how to get outdoors safely and how to meet community in order to get outdoors more.
Love that description and explanation. And then, how did you personally discover the Highlander Adventure series? Because you're based out of Utah, and I know that Highlander's first originally from Europe, Croatia, but they brought it to the U.S. and they now host different formats and adventures all over the country.
Yeah, so I am originally from the Midwest, so I did not grow up in Utah. I've actually only been in Utah for about a year and a half. And so being in the outdoors, especially, Western sports like hiking, backpacking, climbing, rafting, all of those things are not things that I grew up doing. I grew up being outdoorsy in like, let's go play in the mud, let's go to the lake or the pond, that kind of thing. But definitely did not grow up in this camping, backpacking, hiking realm. And so really for me, I first found Highlander, I believe through Instagram. Just the algorithm did the algorithm thing, and I
Yes.
had been doing a lot of hiking and was really trying to get outdoors more and find community to do those things with, because I did not have that community. And so I found it originally through Instagram. I actually signed up for an event that unfortunately didn't happen, but it was actually here in Utah, and it was going to be in 2023, but just with the permits, they weren't able to get enough permits to host the event. But I originally signed up for that one. While I had already been signed up, I actually met a girl on Instagram. Her name's Meg, and she was going to the Montana one. And so whenever they canceled the Utah one, I was able to transfer my registration to Montana and actually get to go with a brand new friend that I had just made through Instagram,
Oh,
and get to
wow.
experience that with her. And she had actually been to the one in Big Bear, so she was a little bit familiar with it already. But yeah, I found out about it through Instagram, and then yeah, I was able to go to my first one in 2023.
Wow. So you went to the Highlander Adventure in Montana, and I believe that was either the second or third one that they introduced into the U.S. And that's so rad that you were able to transfer over from the Utah adventure, even though it didn't happen, and meet up with a friend on Instagram and then actually embark on the Montana one. How was that experience like over in the Montana
Yeah.
event?
Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. It was really good that it all worked out the way that it did, because I would have been going to Highlander, Utah all by myself. And so being able to, at least know someone that was going, I think was really helpful in that experience. But yeah, Montana was stunning. If you haven't been to Montana, it's just absolutely beautiful. It was up near Glacier, and so it was just stunning country. And for me personally, I'll say, I was a very beginner backpacker. I kind of signed up for Highlander knowing that I wanted to be a backpacker. And so it gave me excuses to train and to get out there and, to kind of incentivize myself. Because I think, if anyone is listening has ever signed up for a half marathon or a marathon or, some sort of competition or event, you train differently than if you don't have something to be training for, right? And so I think that got me to kind of embrace that dream that I had kind of always had to go backpacking and to hike and, all of that fun stuff. And so, yeah, that event was just super special. I was a very beginner backpacker. I learned so much from so many people there that were just so knowledgeable. People that were triple crowners, people that own outdoor companies, people that work in the outdoor industry. And so it was really just a way for me to come and be a sponge and absorb as much as I could from people that are, further down the, trail than me, if we want to use that analogy. And yeah, I just got to meet so many people and, have made honestly some of my best friends through Highlander now. Like, I think back to that very first year at in Montana, and I'm just so grateful for the people that I met, because there are still people from that event that I talk to all the time.
That's what it's about at the end of the day. Coming into this as a stranger, or maybe you know a few people, and making some new lifelong friendships and leaning into those new energies. So you've clearly have a strong affinity with Highlander. And then I noticed you're actually a Highlander ambassador now. How did that actually happen?
Yeah, it came about after that first event that I went to in Montana in 2023. And, the Highlander team they're just incredible people, and they truly are there to make you have the best experiences possible. And so they are involved in the every day, the every night of the event, making sure that you're having a good time, making sure that you have what you need, making sure that you're comfortable. You know, they literally are willing to do anything for any of the participants. Them caring so much about the people and about the event definitely kind of, there's not a boundary there, you know, like there is, I feel like, normally. And so I think just through getting to know them and talking to them through that first event, you know, they were just really like, hey, you know, they were hungry to know, like, how can we make this better? How can we, you know, get more people involved? They truly just want to see people get outdoors, kind of break down that barrier to entry to the outdoors, make it not so scary. They just really want to help people. And so I think just through that, you know, first event and having those relationships with them and building those relationships with them. And then, you know, my position of, okay, I was a beginner, and I kind of have a unique experience, you know, in being from the Midwest and not growing up in the outdoors. And so it's like, we want, you know, more of people like you, because we want to help more people, you know, get outdoors. And so how can we work together to make that happen? It's just been a super rewarding ambassadorship, I guess, because it's something that comes so natural. You know, like, I fell in love with the very first event that I ever went to, and I said I will come back to every event that I possibly can, because I think what they're doing is just so important. And so, you know, call it an ambassador, but I would be a cheerleader no matter what.
Hey, let's go. Love how you explained that. And being an ambassador, what are some of the things that you get to do with Highlander?
Yeah, I mean, really, the main thing is I just help them promote it through social media. And then at the event, I'm kind of, you know, a person that people know that they can turn to. They've seen my face on social media. They know me as an extension of the Highlander team. And so really, I'm just there to also, you know, ensure that people are having a good time, ensuring that people, you know, last year, I would have done this regardless of whether I was ambassador or not, but like last year, you know, there were these girls, they had rented gear and they had it all laid out, and, you know, you could tell they were just a little bit lost. Like, they hadn't done this before. And so it was just like, hey, let me help you set up your stuff. Let me help you figure out how to work your stove, you know, all of that stuff. And then kind of in tandem, and it doesn't really have to do with my partnership necessarily with Highlander, but I am also the vice president of responsible stewardship. And so at last year's event at Big Bear, and then this year again at Big Bear, I also give a presentation one of the nights about responsible stewardship, which is essentially just taking care of our public lands, very similar to Leave No Trace, but it's way more about doing something for the traces that have already been left, if that makes sense.
That's awesome. I do remember when I was doing more research on you that you are the VP of that as well. That's really wonderful that you're part of that organization. And to go back to the Highlander team, I assume we've met a lot of the same people. Yura, Aljosa, Ivan. I recently met Susie. Yeah, I remember meeting them a few years ago when they were introducing a Highlander to Big Bear Lake here in Southern California. And I just love that they took the time out of their day to meet with like local hiking groups, local outdoor groups, and just get to know us a bit better, see what we're about, like where we align. And also just like they really do support like the local communities wherever they host the event. And I just love that so much.
For sure. They are amazing people, and, you know, they're from Croatia originally, and so they're just like, you know more about America than we do. We trust you. You know, they're just awesome people. So
yeah, I love how they go about their business and how they interact with the community. And what's really awesome about this global hiking and backpacking event series, as I just mentioned, is that they're coming back to Big Bear Lake, California for the 4th year in a row from June 17th to the 21st. So, Kenzie, would love for you to break down all the event formats that Highlander Big Bear Lake event has to offer and what's included in each registration.
yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it really is truly something for everyone. So whether you have never hiked a day in your life before, whether you are a triple crowner, whether you are somewhere in between, whether you are a avid Spartan racer or Tough Mudder, or, you know, whatever it is that you do, there's kind of something for everybody. And so there are, I believe, 5 different formats. So there is a 1 day, so it's just like a day hike. You just hike in a community. You don't actually camp overnight. It's 14 miles approximately. But that is kind of the entry level, the, you know, lowest amount that you could do. But, you know, an awesome event if you are just looking to build community, if you're just looking to get outdoors, if you maybe don't have can't take off, a lot of time from work, that sort of thing. And so that's a great event. That's just a 1-day event, a day hike. Then they have a 2-day, which is approximately 20 miles. So I think 10 miles can't
10 days.
10 days.
That's the ultimate Highlander.
Yeah. And so that is just 2 days. And so that is the perfect, if you just are that weekend warrior, if you just want to, experience your very first night over in the backcountry, that would be a really awesome, choice for you. Then they have a 3-day, which is 35 miles. And so that is going to be just a little bit longer, but I would highly recommend that one for anybody if you're just kind of looking for that jump off point. If you're like, I want to do a weekend backpack trip, that's going to be a good one for you. The one that I have done at both Montana and at Big Bear is the 5-day, and that is about 60 miles. So think about 12 miles per day. That is the one that I have always done. And that one is it's just great because, like I said, I think that you get to form a little bit more of that community and those bonds with those people. And maybe that's why I've had the experience that I've had, because you get to, meet and hang out with the same people for 4 nights in a row. And, you just get to really dive deep in with some of those people.
I was going to say, you doing that 5-day format, like what made you want to jump all the way to the highest level and do that specific format instead of just, a 2-day or a 3-day? You went all in, I would say.
Yeah, so, I was a beginner backpacker, but I had done a couple weekend trips or things of that nature. And so for me, I was just looking for a personal challenge, something that was out of my comfort zone and kind of to push me into that next level of backpacking, take me from those weekend trips into spending, 5 days in the backcountry. And so just seeing physically, if I could do it. And yeah, I just think it was a good leap for me. Like I said, I had done, overnights or 2-nighters. And so it was just kind of what made sense for me and the goals that I had in the future. So
okay, I just wanted to follow up on that. I'll let you get back to your breakdown of the format and everything.
Yeah. No worries. And then the last one, which is if you are crazy, if you are like a ultra runner or if you just really love type 2 fun, you embrace the suck, there is another 5-day experience, but it is about 80 to 90 miles. And so it is going to be upwards of 20 miles per day, we're pushing that 17 miles per day. And so it kind of goes the same route as the other 5-day that I have done in the past, which is the Hercules. But you do these like peak pushes. So you do the same route, but then you hang a right and you go up a peak and then back down and then continue on. And so that one is a little bit crazy for me. More so, I just want to enjoy the community. I want to enjoy the activities at night. And so I'm like, if I do that one, I'll be dead tired. But there truly is, like I said, something for everyone. Whether you have never stepped foot on a trail or you are a ultra runner, marathon crazy person who just embraces the suck.
And I noticed that what's really cool about all the different event formats is that the name of each format, they got it from the constellations.
Yeah.
Because there's Lyra, there's what else?
Yeah, so Lyra is the 1-day, Orion is the 2-day, Pegasus is the 3-day, Hercules is the 5-day, 60 miles, and then Ursa Major is the 5-day, 80 to 90 miles.
Wow. Literally something for whatever adventure you choose to have for yourself.
Yes.
And then I'm sure with each format, there's different things included with each registration. Are you able to elaborate on that more a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a lot of the formats are very similar. It's just obviously going to depend on the amount of days. But so the things that are included is you're going to get all of your food is included, which is a huge part of the event, and a kind of a bigger expense whenever you go backpacking, shockingly enough. But backpacking food can be expensive, and so all of your food is provided, which is amazing because they provide some really awesome options and they provide a lot of food. And so if you are someone who's like, I think I'm gonna get hungry, trust me, you won't go hungry. They have so much food. And then if you do, I believe the 3 or the 5-day, there is a night that is catered, so you don't have to do like a dehydrated meal. So that is included. Your registration is included, which includes, the route. It provides you with the camp spots that you're going to stay at every night. So every format is a little bit different in where you're going to stay. All of the route is planned. All of your camp spots are planned. all of the logistics, for the most part, are planned. You really just have to get yourself there. They also have water stations along the way. They provide, on a map where water is if they maybe don't have a station, but it's like, hey, filter water here. So they really just take care of all of the work, if that makes sense. And then there's programs at the end of every night. So those are all included. Whatever you want to do, you can choose to do as much or as little as you want. So there's yoga every night whenever you get to camp. There are classes, there are lectures, or more like information sessions. I don't want to call them lectures, but just people get up and talk about different topics. And so those are all included. Transfer to and from the start and finish line is included. And then just kind of like an overall safety aspect that that like if something were to go wrong, there's someone there to help you. And so yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
So what you're saying is that you pretty much just need to show up and just sign up, and all your worries are laid to rest, and let that be in the hands of the organizers and the staff.
I mean, truly. You could come to this, just literally sign up with your backpack. You have to have the mandatory gear, but other than that, everything else is provided for you. You could come in blindfolded, and it would be, they would walk you through it. Like, it's that simple.
I believe you. And that's the beautiful thing about this event, the Highlander Adventure Series, is that they take care of the logistics and the safety, all the things that you're already so worried about, the food rations, the water, the snacks. The campgrounds are already there. They have people monitoring the campgrounds. You have ambassadors such as Kenzie, making sure, they're helping you with little things such as your pack, or like making suggestions, just making you feel as welcome as possible.
Yeah. And then there's also, there's a few things that you can pay for each day. Like there is a PT on at camp every night. So if you're like, I need, my hip is really hurting or my knee is really hurting, she can take a look at you, and she is magical. I don't know how she does what she does, but there's not been one person that has sat on her table other than like a broken bone. Not that that's ever happened, but that she couldn't fix. And so she is great. And then there's also a masseuse that comes, and you can book a massage at the end of each day. Those things do cost a little bit of money, but yeah, there's so much included in the registration. And I know some people would, question like, why would I pay to go backpacking when I can go for free? And it's just like, there is a price that cannot be put on the experience and just the education, the connections, the community that you're going to find through this event. And so also, you just don't have to like put all the brain power into planning a backpacking trip. Yes. So
I'm glad you brought up that thought, because that's what a lot of people think when people host hiking events, group hikes, or backpacking events or series. They're like, why would I pay to get outdoors? We're not charging you to get outdoors, but we are designing and curating an experience in a certain way where you feel welcome, with certain experiences that'll open you up and make new friends, and also for you just to learn and level up your outdoor journey. So I'm glad that you brought up that thought, because that's what a lot of people do think, like, why would I pay this amount of money when I could just do it myself? Well, there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes, and for this event, it sounds like the most beginner backpacking friendly event ever. And also there's things for the hardcore backpackers, as you mentioned, with the different formats.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes every excuse out of why you would never want to go backpacking, or every reason that might hold you back from going backpacking. And, it tells it to kick rocks, and it welcomes you with open arms. So,
I mean, that's why I'm joining this year. This will be my first Highlander backpacking event experience. So for all those things you just mentioned, that's why I pulled the trigger this year too.
Yeah. I'm excited to meet you.
Yeah, you too. It'll be, that's the really fun thing about these events is the people that you've been following on Instagram or social media. You get to meet them in real life and conversate and have these shared experiences at the campgrounds and, or along the trail, both challenging yourself, testing your mental fortitude. So yeah, I can't wait to overlap with you on the trail, because I think you said you're doing I'm doing the 2-day format, because this is my first time. You're doing the 5-day, right? So we'll probably be meeting on the second to last day.
Yep.
And to get further into the event experience specific to Big Bear Lake, what can participants expect in terms of the terrain, the weather, and also just the scenic highlights during this format?
Yeah, so I'm going to speak to it as best as I can, but I do know that the route this year is slightly different. And so I don't know fully what to expect, which is also great because I love that I don't have to do the same route, twice necessarily. So
Very
I get to
true.
get to see a new part of Big Bear Lake, but Big Bear Lake is a really special place. It is surrounded by desert, but it's kind of this, high altitude little oasis, tucked away. And so through the course of the 5 day, which is really the only one that I can speak from experience with, but you get a little bit of everything. So there's a little bit of desert. We went through some Joshua trees. We kind of had that dry arid climate, but then you also got into this part where it was very foresty. There was beautiful views of Big Bear Lake, and so I kind of feel like Big Bear is like the best of all worlds. You kind of get a taste of a little bit of everything in different days, and so I think that that's really awesome. As for the weather, it's cool at night. I feel like it was maybe like in the 50s last year at night. And then in the day, it was upwards of 80. It was a little bit warm, but we were also in like a heat bubble the week of that event last year. And so it was a little bit warmer than normal, but definitely prepare for some warmer weather, which is also why the Highlander team makes it such a priority to keep us hydrated and to make sure that we have enough water because we are in, a more desert climate.
And yeah,
Okay.
Big Bear Lake, just that general area, it's surrounded by the San Bernardino Mountains. And the San Bernardino Mountains, if you're not familiar, is one of the most gorgeous mountain ranges in all of Southern California. Like the forest there, it's high desert. It also gets snow there in the winter time. And also, obviously, the different alpine lakes that also surround that region. So it really is like a SoCal alpine paradise that you got to experience and that I will be returning to very soon in June. And because I've been there to Big Bear Lake for snowboarding when I was younger and like more like snow like recreation, but I'm really excited to experience Big Bear Lake in that general area in a whole different light as a backpacker, finishing as a Highlander. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. I think I was expecting way more desert, and the high alpine, little treats were nice.
No, absolutely. And to touch upon your personal experience with Highlander Adventure, I know you mentioned some of the destinations that you went to. You said you did Highlander Montana, Highlander Big Bear. Was there any other destinations you also went to, or were those the main two?
Those are the two that I've been to so far, but I'm definitely hoping to make an international experience at some point.
Ooh, where are you thinking?
Well, as I've grown so close to the Highlander team, they're all in Croatia, and so I just would love to go to and that's kind of the OG one, the original, I believe, Highlander, and so I think going to Croatia would be really fun. But honestly, I don't know that I would say no to any of them if anybody wants to go.
Good answer. I think you should definitely go back to the OG location to see where all the magic first happened. And I haven't been to Croatia myself, but a close friend of mine I used to work with, he said that although Croatia is a small country, it is breathtaking. It is stunning.
Yeah. Yeah, I've just heard stories and I've seen pictures from that event, and I'm like, it's like these huge mountain cliffs, like, and then it's ocean. Like, it's crazy, insane terrain. So,
And a little bit off outdoor topic, but there's this incredible like electronic house music event that happens in Croatia called Yacht Week that I've always wanted to go to. So maybe I
okay,
can
okay.
combine the two and join out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know anything about that, but I'm sure.
Yeah, if you look it up, just type in Yacht Week, you'll be like, whoa, like it's its own like cultural music phenomenon. Everyone's out in the boats and the yachts, and
That
international DJs everywhere.
sounds like something my husband would love.
Bring him along then. So
He'll
to
go
go,
do that while I go backpacking.
oh, that's funny. Like, hubby, you go have fun over there. I'll do my outdoor thing. There you go. I just laid out the plans for you.
I love it. Yep.
And to go back to your personal experiences with Highlander Adventure, you've done Montana, you've done Big Bear. Are there any super memorable moments that you just can't stop thinking about that you could share with us?
Oh my gosh. I feel like there's so many. I feel like it's the highlight of my year every year that I've gone. Um, I think when I think about Montana, I think about just honestly, just the community and the way that they embraced like outsiders. Like I said, I was a beginner backpacker. I was surely not in the outdoor community. I was not in the really anything in that world. And just I think the outdoors can be scary, and I think that there can be a fear and a like, I feel like I need to like know what I'm doing, and I don't know, just all of that. And I just think that the people were just so willing to come alongside you and say, hey, can I help you with your backpack? Like, hey, can I help you with this? Like, there's just so many people that were willing to step up and help, which is just something that I really hadn't seen before in the outdoors. I think the outdoors can kind of be like a you do your thing and I'm going to do my thing, and like there's definitely that level. And so I think just really those relationships that I made, like I said, at that first year at Highlander, there's been a same group of people that have come back every year. And so to just know that like that was where I met some of my like really great friends, I think is always a moment that I think about. I also think about the moments of watching other people just, truly come alongside and help others. There was a girl last year at Big Bear who, she had, I don't think, you might know who I'm talking about, because she's from California, I think.
Okay.
And she's, I think, a part of the LA Trail Killers. But
Okay.
I don't believe she had ever backpacked before, but she signed up for Ursa Major, which is the one I was telling you, like type 2, crazy fun.
Oh, the highest level format.
The highest level format. And crushed it. And everyone every night was just like cheering so loud for her to come into camp, because everybody knew that this was like a super kind of big goal and a kind of crazy goal. She didn't just sign up for the 5 days. She signed up for the 5 day plus,
yes.
with the summits and stuff. And she's carrying, I'm sure like a 40-pound backpack. And just watching the people like come from out of their tents, like this community of people come from out of their tents to like cheer her into camp every night. It just gives me goosebumps, like thinking about that and seeing the way that this community just like comes around those who are pushing themselves outside of their comfort zone, who are doing something challenging, and like applauding them and, telling them good job and like being proud, like, truly proud of them. I think that's just really special.
I think I know the moment you're talking about and the person you are referencing. I think at the very end, right, like the finishers line, I think I remember seeing such a long line of all the staff and all the other finishers from the different formats. Like you all formed like a big tunnel of sorts.
Yeah, we did that every night.
Oh, you did that every night? I love that.
yeah, it was like a big tunnel. I think, and these aren't maybe as specific moments as you were hoping for, but it's so cool seeing people from all different backgrounds, all different places, all over the country, all over the world. There's people that come from internationally to these as well.
Oh, really? To the United States ones?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so just seeing everyone have, the outdoors in common, and nothing else matters. It doesn't matter where we're from. It doesn't matter our political background. It doesn't matter, name the list of things that could potentially divide us. But yet somehow everyone comes together through the one thing that connects them all, which is the outdoors. And so it's just this beautiful, beautiful thing that you honestly, like, I can't explain it enough. Like, you just have to come and experience it, because it is just amazing. And every year surprises me in a new way.
That was such a beautiful thing you said. I feel like when we're bonding in the outdoors, it really strips all of us much more of our identity. So when we're out there, nothing else matters. We can just simply connect with each other as everyday humans. It doesn't matter, your job, your political affiliation. You're all out there, together in unity, out on the trails, out in the campgrounds, out on the summits.
Yeah, it's really special. And then there's an after party, also on the last day. So everyone finishes together and there's an after party. And so we all get to hang out and celebrate. And it's just such a good time.
Tell me more about this after party. Is it like in the campgrounds, or is it inside of like a lodge? Like, what's going on with this?
Yeah, so at the finish line, there's essentially like just a party. So there's some like booths set up, there's food. So last year we had like, I think hamburgers and hot dogs or, something like that. There was a bar on the inside of, we were like right by a hotel. We finished at a hotel. And so you could go inside the lobby, get a beer, hang out. I think they give you one free beer, like you get a drink ticket or something, and then you get your food. And then there's music, live music, and everyone just celebrates and have a good time, and you get your certificate that says you're officially a Highlander, and we just celebrate your hard work over the past 1 to 5 days.
Yeah, there's no better feeling than like grinding through an outdoor adventure, a multi-day one especially, and then you all make it to the finish line, and then you're all just having this grand social of sorts,
Yeah.
You're sharing stories, you're sharing the laughs, you're sharing the highs, you're sharing the lows. It's just really like the most fun thing ever.
Yeah. Most people go back to their, like last year it was at the hotel where most people stayed. And so everyone went back to their room, showered, and then came back so that we didn't have to smell each other.
Which I'm sure they all would not have minded, right? Because it doesn't matter how you smell when you're outdoors. We're,
Yeah.
what is it? What's the term? Hiker trash, dirtbag gypsies of sorts?
Yeah, we all smell. So it's like, who stinks? We all do.
Who stinks? We all stink together.
You can't blame it on one person. It's like, whose BO is that? It's all of ours
Oh,
combined.
that's too fun. Yeah, all of it combined in one communal smell, so it doesn't matter anymore. All right, so thank you for sharing some of the memorable moments and the things you've observed from both Montana and Big Bear. And I know you've touched upon this to a certain degree, but could you get into more about maybe the overall vibe and community feels of these events? It clearly sounds like it's got a festival vibe of sorts. And if you could get more into like the type of activities that are happening either during the hike and also around the campgrounds. I know you mentioned there's like educational lectures, there's yogas. If you could highlight a bit more about what's going on.
Yeah. So the kind of, I'll say, beginning of the event is definitely like festival. There's big flags, think again like marathon, it's like a starting line. And so there's music, it's a party at the starting line. But then really once you're on trail, it's quiet, it's serene, it's exactly what you would think of if you're on a backpacking trip, right? At the very beginning, at this very start, there's a pool of people and it seems, maybe a little cluttered. But over the next hour, everyone kind of spreads out. You could hang back if you wanted to, you can kind of go at your own pace. And so really whenever you're hiking, you're just hiking, and there's really there's no event feel other than, you might see people that you pass that have their bib. Everyone gets a bib, and so you'll see it on their backpack, and you know that they're a Highlander, right? And so if you want, you can talk with them. If not, you can keep going and you can pass them, and you can kind of hike your own hike. You can do whatever you want during the day, kind of while you're on trail. Occasionally there are water stations if there isn't water on trail necessarily that day. But really other than that, you're not in what I would call like a Highlander environment when you're on the trail if you don't want to be. Now, like I said, you can make as many friends as you want with the people that you pass or that you see that day. But the kind of, real event happens at camp every night. And so whenever you come into camp every night, there's flags set up so you know exactly where you're supposed to be going. There's cowbells. They're celebrating you coming into camp every night. And you check in with the people at the tent so that they can make sure that you're there, because safety is really important to Highlander. And then you get your food for the next day. And then, you go and you set up camp, and again, it's a choose your own adventure. You can choose to stay in your tent all night if you want and not really hang out, or you can come and hang out. And at camp every night, there is always yoga. That's always a thing, as well as the PT lady that I was talking about earlier and the masseuse. Other than that, the kind of activities each night change a little bit. And so last year at Big Bear, one night there was an orienteering class. So you learned how to use a compass and a map and learn how to orienteer. There was a guy from Big Bear, a local Big Bear astrologer, I think is the right word.
Oh,
and he
awesome.
came and like talked about the moon and the stars and like did a whole stargazing activity with people. There are people that get up and talk about a realm of different things. So like Mateo from Z-Packs, he shares something every year. Usually it's like best tips and tricks on maybe how to, lighten your backpack, or how to best set up, pick a good camp spot, just practical tips and tricks for backpacking. Jesse Cody from Hike the Good Hike, he shared his personal story. He runs a nonprofit that is for kind of the outdoors and mental health. And so he shared his story and his journey with the outdoors and how the outdoors has saved his life. He was essentially going to commit suicide, and then he went out and hiked the Appalachian Trail. And so he just shares his personal story. If you know who Darwin on the Trail is, he's a kind of famous YouTuber in the backpacking world. He came and gave a talk. I give a talk about responsible stewardship. There are people that are local to Big Bear that come and talk about the flora and the fauna that you're going to see on trail, and they teach you about what to look for and why this species is important to the Big Bear ecosystem. So there's really fun things, there's very educational things, and then there's some just like personal story sharing. There's live music one of the nights at camp, like a guitar, kind of vibe.
Nice.
And there's a campfire at night at each camp every night. And yeah, there's just a lot going on, and you can be a part of as much or as little as you want to. And one of my favorite things, even with all of these activities going on, is just to, sit down and chat with people that I haven't met, that I maybe didn't pass on trail, and just, hey, where are you from? Is this your first event? And just kind of get to know people a little bit. And so, yeah, I hope that answers your question. I kind of rambled there for a minute, but.
No, that was very thorough. It sounds like the perfect mixture of activities at the different campgrounds and entertainment. I love that. You mentioned stargazing, yoga, personal stories, educating about nonprofit initiatives. I'm especially really excited about the stargazing and the person breaking down like astronomy and astrology, because that's just like a whole nother like part of like the outdoor world that like is massive, and just the great unknown. It leaves you curious, always in awe. I've heard so much feedback that the stargazing in Big Bear is pretty top tier.
Yeah, it was amazing last year, that's for sure. Even without knowing anything about it, you could just look up and you're surrounded, so.
You just feel like a speck of dust in this earth, right? So I always have this term, it's like that when you're in a grand landscape, or if you're looking at the stars, it's like that insignificance, magnificence of sorts.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it makes you real humble real quick.
I agree. So, Kenzie, you've gained so much experience trekking and backpacking, all over the United States in just the past several years. Is there any pro tips or gear hacks you can share with both the beginner and advanced backpackers who are embarking on this journey?
Yeah. So I came into Highlander the first year as a beginner backpacker. My backpack weighed way more than it should have. And, I'll say come to Highlander if you want to learn these tips and tricks, because that's where I learned. And, I had some people that I met through the Z-Packs team, and just some friends that were like, Kenzie, I had a fear. I'll say this. I had a fear. They say in backpacking, you pack your fears. So take that as a mental note. If you're, whatever you're scared of, chances are that's where your weight is going to come from. So I was really scared of smelling. And so I brought a different outfit for every day, which means I had 5 pairs of clothes. And I remember one of the guys, he's hiked the Appalachian Trail or something. He was like, Kenzie, you do not need 5 pairs of clothes. He goes, when I see you here next year, you're going to have just 1 pair of clothes. And I said, you're crazy. There's not a chance that I'm going to do that. Lo and behold, though, I did. And now that is what I do. I only backpack with 1 pair of clothes, no matter if I'm going on a 1-day or a 20-day experience. I am only packing 1 pair of clothes. And so, just through Highlander, I have learned from people that have way more experience than I have. Like I said, I learned so much at that first event in Montana about just gear and about myself and about what I packed and all the things, and that has helped me. And I learned some tips and tricks through Mateo at Z-Packs and through his presentation, and so those things definitely helped me. But For those of you listening who, want some actual practical tips and tricks, don't pack your fears, whatever that is. If you're scared you're going to run out of water, you're going to carry like 2 gallons of water, and that's going to weigh like 18 pounds, which is a problem. Okay.
Yep.
You don't need an extra outfit for every day. Whoever's listening to this, I know someone is going to.
All you trailfluencers out there with your different outfit of the day, right?
Yeah. And then, I think just like the bigger backpack that you have, this is something that I've learned. The bigger backpack that you have, the more stuff you're going to think that you can fit in your backpack. So go with a little bit smaller backpack, maybe, if you're like shopping for backpacks than you think that you need, because the bigger it is, you're going to fill it with more stuff, because it's going to seem like it's not full. And so go with a little bit smaller backpack and don't carry as much stuff. You don't need deodorant. We're all going to smell. It's fine.
Yes, doesn't matter, guys.
Yeah, and then just like around maybe like if this is your first ever backpacking event, definitely just like get used to carrying weight. So one thing that I really love to do when I'm at home or when I'm training for backpacking season is I have bought a weighted vest on Amazon. It's like a 20-pound weighted vest. And so just getting used to walking with weight on your back, I think, is really helpful. There is a little bit of a jump between hiking and backpacking, even though they seem very similar. You definitely need to practice with some weight on your back, because it's going to slow you down more than you think. And so, yeah, just I would say practice makes not perfect in this world of backpacking, but practice definitely helps. And so just get out there and definitely get in the gym and get some training on those legs and that core, and yeah, you'll crush it.
For the carrying the weight and training with weight, would you say, how far out from the event would you say would be ideal to start doing that? Like maybe like 3 weeks out? You get away with 2 weeks out? Like, do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely people that have come that have zero training, and they make it. It's just going to be, it's going to suck a little bit more.
Sure. It's how miserable do you want to be?
Yeah. How miserable do you want to be? And so I would say, like, if you are even contemplating going backpacking at Big Bear or just any time this summer, I would start now. There's never a too early, but there is maybe a little bit of a too late. And so the sooner the better. Once you kind of make that registration, you commit to that goal, I would say, like, that's your time. Like, get out there and start moving and start training, because you're going to have a way better experience and you're going to be able to enjoy the event more.
Also loved how you said, like, come experience these tips and tricks for yourself. Like, if you're a beginner, just show up. Like, you're not being judged. You're going to be supported. This is an event that cultivates true community, people looking out for you. There's no better way than to just put yourself out there and just learn on the go. That's what the ambassador's for. That's what the staff are for. They want to make sure, like, your first experience is the most memorable and best time ever. They want to take away all those discomforts and anxiety and fears. So I really like that you emphasize that you're going to figure it out when you come out here, and we're going to help you. So we got you.
Yeah, and it's like you can watch a lot of YouTube and you can, you can learn all the tips and tricks and the hacks, but there's also certain things that like may just work for you that don't work for other people. And so I think just actually getting out there and backpacking is one of the best ways to prepare for backpacking, because you learn things about your gear and where you want certain things to be in your pack, because you're like, oh, I use that more than, someone told me to put that in my backpack, but I use that every hour, so I want that in my hip belt pocket. And so there's just certain things that only you can know about yourself through experiencing backpacking. And so watch all the things, learn as much as you can, but there's a level of just experiencing it and figuring it out. So
very true, very true. And from your perspective, having completed a few Highlander journeys yourself, I think we kind of touched upon these kinds of people, but who do you think should consider joining Highlander Big Bear Lake, and why?
Anybody. Literally anybody. If you are someone who has an interest in the outdoors, who wants to hike or backpack, or if you are someone who already knows you love it, or if you're on the fence of whether or not you love it, I think that there's something that everybody, no matter who you are, can take away from this event. And yeah, I think if you are someone, I'm going to speak specifically to the people who are like hesitant to pull the trigger. They're like, I don't feel qualified. I don't feel like I've trained enough. I don't feel like I have the right gear. Come, learn, rent the gear. That's something that we didn't talk about, but Highlander has gear that you can rent. So if backpacking is something that you are on the fence about, if you're like, man, I really want to try it, but I don't want to, invest $2,000 into backpacking gear, come to Highlander, rent gear, try it out, and then if you hate it, you've lost nothing, but chances are you've gained some good memories and some good friends. And then if you love it, guess what? You just unlocked a brand new hobby that you're gonna that is going to give you so much in the future. And so yeah, I just think it's really for anybody. And if you are at all like, I want to do this, there's really no reason you shouldn't.
Thanks so much for bringing up the gear rental program. I believe that Highlander this year for Big Bear Lake specifically is partnered with Sports Basement for the backpacking rental packages. And I think it's really affordable pricing from what I looked up. I think it's anywhere from like $200 to $300 for all the rental, which is like so dirt cheap compared to like if you bought all of that at full price and you're not even familiar with the gear, you're not sure if you're going to like it. So this is a perfect way of saving money and getting your intro to backpacking experience done.
Yeah. I would say just on the gear, though, the one thing that you do want to start figuring out now, if you're going to sign up, is your shoes. Make sure that you get a pair of shoes that you like, that you have kind of gone on lots of walks or runs with. You definitely want to make sure your feet are comfortable. If your feet are happy, the rest of your body will be happy. And so if there's one piece of gear to focus on, that would be the one. Don't stress about the rest.
And for these multi-day treks, when people are figuring out their footwear, their hiking boots or trail runners, would you recommend a half a size up or a full size up? Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I really struggle giving advice when it comes to footwear just because everybody's feet are so different. So what works for me may not work for somebody else. What works for somebody else may not work for me. And so I think one thing that you do want to think about is you want to make sure that if you don't want to get a shoe that's too narrow. That's one thing that I would say that I have seen many people struggle with, is just having too narrow of a shoe. That's definitely where a lot of blisters happen. And you want to make sure that a shoe fits well, because that's also where blisters are going to happen if your heel is coming out of the back of that shoe. And so, when you ask about the half size or the full size bigger, I think for me what has worked is a wider toe box so that my toes can expand, and I don't feel like I necessarily have to get a bigger size if my toes have room to kind of spread out. And so that is just what's worked for me personally. But go to REI. What I'd recommend, go to REI, have someone look at your shoes, try a bunch on, take them out on a hike, a local hike, go on a day hike. If you don't like them, you can take them back and you can get another pair. REI has a great return policy. You have like up to a year if something doesn't work well for you to return it. And so that's my recommendation. Go get fitted and go talk to an REI person.
Yeah, going in store is literally the best advice you can give, because you won't really know the feel of it, because each brand's boots or trail runners or hiking shoes are all cut a little bit differently. Some are a little wider toe box. Some are more narrow. And also, that's cool that you brought up REI, because literally in the shoe section, they have like that little stepping rock slope.
Yeah.
So you can like get a bit of a feel of what it may feel like on the trails.
Yeah, definitely.
Guess what?
What?
It's time for the rapid fire question section. So the way it works, there's 2 rounds. Round 1 is outdoor focus, and then round 2 is personal. So just answer with one-word answers or short and concise answers. All right, so you ready for round 1?
I'm ready.
You ready, Rocksteady?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get into it. Favorite trail snack?
Ooh, Nerds gummy clusters.
Trail runners or hiking boots?
Trail runners.
Tent or hammock?
Tent.
Desert or deserted island?
Desert for sure.
Waterfalls or lakes?
Lakes.
Rock scrambling or surfing loose scree?
Rock scrambling.
Favorite dehydrated meal?
Ooh. Um,
Take a
ooh.
moment.
Barbacoa tacos by Lux Fly Base Camp.
Wow, so specific. That sounds so bomb. I want to try it now. Water filter or purification tablets?
Water filter for sure. Those purification tablets taste bad.
Good to know. Dawn or dusk?
Ooh. I mean, they're both magical. I'm going to say dawn because I know you said short answer, but if I'm up that early, that's special. I see dusk probably every day. So,
Great answer. Great contextual answer. Mountain lions or grizzly bears?
pass. Neither.
You got to choose one.
I have to choose one. Those are like my two biggest fears in one question.
Yep. You just got to choose one. What comes off the top?
I'm gonna go grizzly bear because they say if you see a mountain lion, chances are you're dead because they don't like they've been pursuing you for a while and you're dead.
Mountain lions are the stealthiest apex predators. You will not hear them. You see those big paws, they are the silent hunters.
Okay, real quick, do you know that they sound like birds?
Yes,
Have
they
you
have a
heard
high.
that cheap, they chirp.
It happened to me recently.
I
You hear
live
that,
in-
everybody?
I live in the Wasatch. We have the healthiest population of mountain lions, and I don't like that.
Really? That's fascinating. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize a common mountain lion sound, it sounds like a high bird chirp. It's not this necessary low growl. I mean, they do that too, but it's a high bird chirp, and it can be a bit confusing or hard to decipher that.
Yep.
All right, Taco Tuesday or Waterfall Wednesday?
Those are so different.
I know. Just off the top of your head.
Waterfall Wednesday.
National parks or remote backcountry?
Remote backcountry.
Campfire or early bedtime?
Campfire, please.
Trail name, if you have one.
Icy.
Icy? How do you spell that?
Just, it's like the letters, IC. It stands for in charge or in check.
Icy? I thought like icy like the slushy from 7-Eleven. Yeah?
That's like the play on it if no one asks. It's like,
All right. You hear that, y'all? Kenzie Smith's trail name is Icy. One place still on your backpacking bucket list.
Ooh. Well, is it on my bucket list if I have plans to do it this summer?
Sure. Yeah, let's besides that one.
Okay. Probably the Wonderland Trail.
Up in Washington State?
Yep.
Yeah, I still have yet to explore that. I actually lived in Seattle for a year, but I wasn't outdoorsy back then, so I'm always kicking myself, that I never got out there.
Yeah, if I can ever get the permits.
Oh, that's a very difficult one, huh?
Yeah.
National park you want to visit the most that you have not already?
Ooh, the Grand Canyon.
Music artist you want to hike with?
Ooh.
This one's always a stumper, I know. Take a moment.
Ooh, that I want to hike with.
Music artist you want to hike with?
I'm just going to go with one of my favorite artists, NF. I think it'd be cool to meet him and talk to him.
NF?
NF.
NF for the record. Favorite wildlife to observe?
Ooh, bighorn sheep.
Greatest fear on the trail?
Probably wildlife, like bears or cougars. Or in Utah, rattlesnakes.
Ooh. Favorite backpacking brand at this very moment?
Backpacking brand for what?
Let's
Like
say
my backpack?
Let's say for packs.
For packs. Z-packs.
Good answer. First ever backpacking trip?
I backpacked Mount Kenya in Africa, which is the second tallest mountain in Africa.
That was your first backpacking trip?
Yeah, it's a crazy story, but yes.
Oh, wow. That would be in its own podcast episode at some point.
Yeah.
All right. In one word, how does backpacking make you feel?
Grateful.
What's your ideal outside temperature?
58.
Awesome. So that concludes round 1. You survived that. We take a quick 15-second break. I'm going to sip my water.
I got my Celsius.
I still haven't tasted the Celsius, even though I've seen it all around. All right, we're going to jump into round 2, the more personal section. You ready?
All right, I'm ready.
You ready, Rocksteady?
I'm ready.
Favorite comfort food?
Oh, goodness gracious. Pho. Pho,
Ooh,
however you say
great
it.
answer. Pho always hits the spot after a cold night, right?
Yes, if I'm like feeling under the weather or if it's a rainy day, give me it.
It's like that chicken noodle soup that hits the soul, right?
Yep.
Favorite cartoon show growing up?
Oh gosh, these are hard. Favorite cartoon. Rocket Power.
Rocket Power for the record. Favorite emoji?
The hand hearts.
The hand hearts emoji? Okay, awesome. App you're currently using the most besides Instagram?
Ooh.
Could be an outdoor app, personal app, work app.
Probably YouTube.
YouTube for the record. What's your hidden talent?
I don't have one. I'm really lame. I
believe that. If it comes back to you, feel free to.
I don't feel like I have one. Like I don't have like a weird, like I can play a musical instrument or I can sing or. Yeah, I don't have anything like that. I don't know.
No worries. If something comes to mind that you want to share, feel free to just blurt it out. If you could be any animal, what would you be?
Probably a bighorn sheep.
I love that you keep mentioning that answer because they're also very prominent in certain parts of Southern California. They're very elusive, but when you see them, it's a very special sight.
Yeah, I just love them, and I feel like they're always in the places, like they're in Glacier, but they're also in the desert, and they're just in all my favorite places. So I'm like, that'd be really cool to live your life.
Yeah, I feel like they especially find themselves in the high elevation areas, the high elevation peaks specifically.
Yeah.
If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to? It could also be a period of time that you did not live in.
I would like to be on Earth when Jesus was here.
I love that answer so much. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Oh, goodness gracious.
It's always hard to think about yourself,
right? You
right?
need to prep me for these.
You can't prep you for the rapid fire. Come on.
Okay.
Just off the top, describe yourself in 3 words.
Outdoorsy. Faith-driven. And quirky.
Awesome. Great combination. And here's the final question of the rapid fire question section. You ready?
I'm ready.
Favorite sound?
Ooh, favorite sound. Probably the sound of a river running.
That's such a great answer. Feels like it just washes away all your problems and fears.
It's just really calming. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Something about a river.
River for the record. All right. That concludes the rapid fire question section. You survived both rounds. How do you feel?
I'm like nervous. That was hard.
It's always the most fun for the host, but for the guest at times it can feel a bit, puts you on your feet.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still like going to hidden talent. I don't have one. Like I'm sticking to that answer. I don't have one.
All right, Kenzie. So we're pretty much at the end of the episode, but before I always end it, I always turn the spotlight back to the guest. Do you have any final words to share about the outdoors or Highlander Adventure? The floor is yours.
Yeah, I just, as someone who had to go kind of into the outdoors alone and had to learn all on my own and really didn't have anyone to go with, like, if you are in that same boat, go. You won't regret it. You're only going to regret that you didn't go. And so don't wait for the people to go with you. Just go on your own. And I promise you'll find your people somewhere along the way. And Highlander is the perfect place to do that. I wish I would have known about Highlander when I was very first getting into the outdoors, because it was exactly everything that I was looking for that I just didn't know existed yet. And so, yeah, just if you're like, again, if you have any hesitations about anything, one, reach out to me. I'd love to chat with you and just like help you plan a trip or whatever you need to do to get outdoors. I want to encourage you to do that, and you won't regret it. It's beautiful. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kenzie, for your final thoughts. And everyone tuning in, if you want to meet Kenzie and myself in person, we highly recommend that you join us at Big Bear Lake, the Highlander Adventure Big Bear Lake, from June 17th to the 21st. We'll hang out, we'll chop it up, we'll celebrate it at the end. And if you want to get on out there, we do have a special discount code that'll help shave off a good amount of bucks. So JustTrek_HL20. Just go to HighlanderAdventure.com, the Big Bear Lake tab. Again, it's JustTrek_HL20. We will make sure to include that in the episode show notes, and that will help you get on out there to Big Bear Lake this upcoming summer, June 17th to the 21st. And back to Kenzie, thank you so much for having this conversation with me. It was so awesome to learn more about you, your backpacking expertise, and also your relationship with Highlander Adventure. You did such an amazing job breaking down the different event formats, your personal experiences. Anyone that's tuning in, if you don't want to join Highlander Adventure now, like, I don't know what will. So,
yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait to actually get to backpack with you later this summer at Big Bear. And yeah, if anybody's listening has any questions that we didn't cover in this episode, please feel free to reach out to me or to Justin, and we will make sure we get those questions answered for you. But thank you again so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
absolutely. And also, I know you got your own podcast. You want to plug that real quick?
Sure. Yeah. So I have a Christian outdoors podcast. So it is called My Valley, His Victory. And I am Messages from the Mountain on Instagram. So you can find it either of those ways.
Awesome. Make sure to subscribe to her show. Follow her on Instagram. Make sure to support Kenzie Smith. And thank you so much for being on the Just Trek podcast for this special Highlander Adventure episode edition.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, everybody. Kenzie Smith. Just Trek Podcast, elevation is our recreation, and we are out. Peace, y'all.